Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Today, we're going to be talking about how you are a cloud of bacteria walking around. You're more bacteria in your body than you are cells in your body. It's 100 trillion bacteria. That's 10 times the cells in your body. And you're basically just walking around carrying a cloud of bacteria with you. And before we talk about that, I want to explain more about that. But before we talk about that, I want to tell you a story. Back in 2003, I was just new to making cultured foods, and I was really enjoying it. I had had so many health benefits, seen so many changes in my family and myself, and I was just really having a ball making these foods. And a friend came into my kitchen. It was the summertime, and I had a bunch of cultured veggies on my counter and some kefir on my counter. And I was so excited. She asked me what the jars were, and I said, "Oh, these are cultured foods, and you make them on your counter." And then I watched her face completely change, and I thought, "Uh-oh, she's going to have a negative response to this." And she said to me, "These jars have been brewing on your counter for days." And I'm like, here we go. And she's just completely disapproved and said, "That's not safe. That's not good." But she didn't know anything about fermentation. And I tried to explain to her that the billions of probiotics that are in these jars that are culturing the food, preserve it, make it safe, keep out pathogens. It's a very safe method of making food because there's so much good bacteria in there. It just dominates. And she was having none of that. She just thought I was crazy because we've all been trained that you shouldn't do that. And rightfully so. With regular foods, things will spoil if you sit them on your counter, but not when they are infused with billions of good bacteria. And it drops the pH in your food. It keeps the environment in a different, safe environment. It's different than regular food. And it infuses it with just billions and trillions of probiotics and little microbes that are eating the sugars out of the food and really adding vitamins to it. I mean, the vitamin C in cultured vegetables skyrockets when it's fermenting. It goes from 60 milligrams a cup of cabbage to 700 milligrams for a cup after fermentation. And that also happens with kefir. You get vitamin C, you get a ton of B vitamins. It completely changes the product that you're using, whether it's milk or non-dairy. It changes it into a completely different food. And that's what fermentation is. It's like a magic. It's a magic process that creates all these probiotics, but it also gives you vitamins and minerals that weren't in the foods prior to it, or just enhances them. And that's why they're so good for you, because they really become a completely different food. So after that episode, she wasn't having any of it. She didn't want to hear me. You know, I was standing there thinking, but there is nobody that can convince me these foods are bad, because I had lived the benefits and I had seen it not just in myself and my family, but my friends and people who had a lot of problems. Those problems went away. Food allergies, asthma problems, acid reflux problems. And the list just kept growing as I've been doing this for the last 21 years. It's grown and grown and grown because probiotics do so much, guys, that you don't understand. And the supplements don't work as well because they can open up in parts of the body where they don't belong. This can cause all kinds of problems. You really need it in the form of food. That's naturally how it's supposed to. That's how the body wants it, because the body knows what to do with food, and it has this little protective halo around the probiotic food that speaks to the parts of the body where it's needed, and it goes right to work. And there's so many things that bacteria do. And I mean, I barely touch on what they do. They, for instance, let's explain it. So we have, your kidneys, they filter your blood. They filter so many toxins, your prescriptions that you take, the drugs, all the things you take in your body, your kidneys are helping to filter that along with your liver. And then one of the things that really helps your kidneys, and this has just been profound for so many people. I mean, so much so that it kind of blows my mind. I've seen people, kidney function improve unbelievably so by taking kefir and probiotic foods. And that's because those bacteria go in and eat those toxic byproducts that the kidneys are filtering. helping the kidneys to clean the blood and to clean, it gets into the urine, all these toxic byproducts that exit the body, and it eats that out as a food source and helps keep those kidneys functioning really well. That's just one thing. It helps, it helps with all different kinds of things. I've seen so many things. I've had it help me with my blood sugar many years ago, when I had type 2 diabetes. That was 2001, I think. It helped my blood pressure. It helped lower all those things by working on enzymes in the stomach, but also allowing my microbiome to grow and multiply, to be able to do the job it does. Because if you don't have enough good bacteria, your body can't do what it's designed to do. For instance, let's say you have a foreign invader, if it's a virus or something like that that comes into the body, and your body recognizes this as a foreign invader and wants to attack it. Well, the more good bacteria you have, the more of those helper cells you have that alerts the body and destroys those incoming pathogens and keeps your immune system running really strong. But if you don't have a lot of good bacteria and you have a lot of pathogenic bacteria, it's harder for the body to regulate those things because it needs numbers. It needs numbers of good bacteria because that's how you're designed. And so wherever you go, whatever you do, you take that with you. And guys, you are 99% mostly good bacteria. I mean, we don't talk about that a lot. Most people are worried and they're killing bacteria right and left because they think it's bad, but it's actually the good bacteria that's keeping you well. And, throughout history, it usually just takes one individual to change. And it begins with their own life. And then at first, people think they're crazy, just like my friend thought I was crazy. And then slowly, if you stand firm and live what you believe and love it, others begin to follow. And that is the motto of my life, has been since I started my business. If you love something, and I do really love cultured foods because they made me well, and believe in it and have lived the benefits, the people who are looking for those benefits will find you. And guys, that's what happened to me. It has been quite an amazing journey for me, because I don't just do this because it's a good idea and it's a job. I do it because I can't not do it. I love it. It's changed my life dramatically. And, I thought, 20 years ago that, I knew a lot. I didn't know anything compared to what I know now, because there's so much more research. There's so much more evidence. There's so much, I've had so many more life experiences with these cultured foods, and I am still learning. And it is kind of blowing my mind, the stuff I'm learning. But I don't force my beliefs on anybody. If they really want to know, they'll come to me. They'll want to know. They'll be attracted to what I know. And when I used to see people who were sick and I want to help them, but honestly, guys, if they're not ready, they can't hear or see what you're saying. They will not, it will just blow right over their heads. And so I learned to wait until people ask for help, because if I try to force it, it never works because they're just not ready for it. So here's the deal. If you change yourself, you send out a signal to others. They see that change in you, and then they want it too if they're ready for it. And if you don't know of another soul who needs cultured foods in your circle of friends or family, then you be the first. If it's calling you, and it probably is if you're listening to this podcast, you should do it. Buy them, make them, and come hang out with me online for encouragement, or become one of my members, or just write me an email and I'll encourage you, help you, because that's what I wished I had because I didn't have anybody. And I had to just figure it out, myself, which I'm pretty good at that kind of thing. But other people, if who are not as in love with this stuff as I was, may give up if they don't understand how easy it is, how important it is, how little equipment you need, how inexpensive it is, how sustainable it is, and it just changes your life. And that's one of my favorite things, is to encourage people, because it is so life-changing. And it's just food. It's not drugs. It's not, you don't have to keep buying kefir grains or scobies over and over again, because once you have them, they can last your lifetime, which is very sustainable. I know a lot of people online who tell people not to use the live grains, but you kind of got to follow the money with that, because they have a product they're selling that you got to buy over and over again. And most of these foods are sustainable. Even the new yogurts that I'm making, You can take a jar, make a jar, and you can use that jar as a starter over and over and over and over again. It's awesome. And you can do that with easy kefir. I have a powdered kefir that's easier for people to make, and they can make it whenever they want. And that jar will make, because it just makes so many jars. I mean, I've made 50 jars off of one package, and I quit counting after that. But it just, that's the wonderful thing about this, is that it's very sustainable and it's easy to do. If you come hang out with me, it's easy to do. Now, okay, so this week and the last couple of weeks, I get a lot of people, and here's the deal. If you have cultures that you get from your friends, I'm fine with that. You don't have to buy from me if you get it. But the people who are selling them in online, and they're not telling you, don't leave them in your hot mailbox, and then you come to me and tell me you're having all these problems, it's because they didn't tell you what to do. So I answer everybody, no matter where you buy them from, because I want you guys to get well. So, but there are some things you need to know. The cultures can die in your mailbox if it's super hot. And some people come up with the craziest stuff like, I don't know, you got to ferment for 48 hours. That is not true. That makes it worse. You need to do it for 24 hours because then you start losing probiotics. You can second ferment and do it. People say you have to use a cloth and rubber band. Well, you can have problems if you use a cloth and rubber band because you can get wild yeast in them and it can get pink on your kefir grains. So don't do that. Use a lid. And then other people are like, don't ever use metal to strain your kefir grains. Well, you can use stainless steel because it's not corrosive and that works all the time. Other people are like, you got to use an airlock lid to make cultured vegetables. That's a lie. They said you have to do that to keep, I don't know, air exposure controlled or whatever. They've been making fermented vegetables for thousands of years. They never used airlock lids. I like airlock lids. They make them better, taste better. I sell them, but you do not have to use an airlock lid. If you just have a jar and with a lid, a secure lid, then you're good. I have all these tips on my website, and people tell you got to use weights. Well, I don't like weights because they were a pain, and I didn't like cleaning them, and they didn't work that great anyway. And anyway, guys, I've just done it all. I just really love it, and I really want you to get well, and I really want you to be successful. So I just want you to know, if you got questions, I got FAQs all over the place. I've got on my website at culturedfoodlife.com, if you hit the start here button, it's a little smiley pot. I've got every FAQ for every cultured vegetable, all the ways to make them. Everything's free, and it has all the help you'll need, videos, everything on there. So if you have a lot of questions, just ask me, because people give other people wrong advice and then they get upset. But have they been doing it for 20 years? No, most people haven't. Have they done as much research as me? Probably not. Anyway, I just get on my high horse. I just put a post out about don't rinse your kefir grains in water because that really upsets me. People tell them to do that all the time, and it really destroys the grains. It's horrible for them. So don't do that. Don't rinse your kefir grains in water. If you got to rinse them in milk. It can kill them. And so, I don't know. I'm just saying I've been doing this a long time. I really love it. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it easily. So come to me. Come to my website. I got everything you need for free, or I can help you. And just remember that when people are selling a product, if they haven't had it for a long time or know how to do it, then sometimes they can give you bad advice, well-meaningly, but I have a lot of that all the time. So, okay, I'm going to get off my high horse now. So, okay, so anyway, because I don't want your kefir grains or your cultures to die. It upsets me. So anyway, okay, so here's what happens. When you start making cultured foods and you start changing your microbiome, you start to feel better. If you're the only one doing it, it will send out a signal to others, and they'll see the change in you, and they'll want to make them too. So here's the deal. You change every single room you walk into with your good bacteria, and it happens within minutes. Now, there was some research done from the Home Microbiome Project, and they took 7 families, 18 people, 3 dogs, and 1 cat, and moved them into homes across the United States. Quite rapidly, the homes were changed to the bacteria that those people brought with them, just by having their very presence in the house. And all these people were ethnically diverse, and not all of them were genetically related. They were just people. And they had a cloud of bacteria with each and every one of them that followed them into those homes. And in the study, when someone left the house for a few days, researchers could discern that the person's absence, because they could test the microbial aura, that's just crazy to me. That's awesome. And they could actually tell which people were coming and going in and out of the house by, I guess, checking the, microbial substances in the house and in the air and everywhere. And one of the things they did that I thought was so interesting, they said they found a pathogen, Ectobacter, that was transferred to the kitchen counter, which is a harmful bacteria. And it was on one person's hands, and they picked it up. Another person picked it up with their hands because it was on the kitchen counter. But no one got sick because they had enough good bacteria in their bodies to keep them well. And guys, that happens all the time to you. You just don't know it. The more good bacteria you have, you could pick up germs and your body will just fight it off because it has all this good bacteria. And your body can be one of the greatest sources of joys. And in my own quiet way, I believe the power of the 100 trillion bacteria that I spread as I go everywhere, at the gym, planes, grocery store. I believe that my presence of good bacteria and yours is much needed in this world today. It's why it's so important to take care of yourself and feed those microbes. You mostly hear about killing bacteria, disinfectants, antibacterial soaps, but they're not harnessing the power that the good bacteria can do. And that promotes that cloud that you take everywhere with you. And you're 99% good bacteria, and people don't talk about that. And those 100 trillion microbes are always working on your behalf. They're, cleaning out toxins in your body, creating a more robust immune system, helping your digestion, helping your elimination, even helping you breathe. The bacteria helps you breathe. And I was so shocked at how good my body could feel when I started eating these foods. And I'm just never going back to the years of colds and flus and sickness and disease. I'm just not doing it. It's not happening. I have so much confidence in what my body can do that I don't fear things. I'm not afraid of anything because I know my body is just designed to keep me well. That's what the whole system is for. So it could be such a great source of joy once you get to really work with your microbiome and your body and how it works and understanding all the processes in your body. It's very cool. I mean, how it all works together. Your kidneys, your liver, your lungs, all your organs, your heart, all of these things are affected by the presence of bacteria in your body, and they need them. They need the good bacteria to keep you healthy. Cholesterol, it eats some of the cholesterol in your body when you have a lot of the good bacteria. It calms it down. It just uses it as a food source. It also helps, like I said before, clean the blood. It helps the kidneys to function more properly. And even serotonin is made in your gut. And you can't hang out with me for very long without learning about your microbiome. It's just not going to happen. I have some new people in my life who kind of don't know what the world I'm talking about. And I try to keep it, if they ask me questions, I try to, make it simple for them to understand. But most of the time it goes over their head. But that's okay. I just keep doing what I'm doing. With the people who are looking for this, they'll find me. They'll want to know. And I look at it this way. Good is stronger than evil, and that goes for your good bacteria too. The more healthy strains of good bacteria you have, the more you change the world for the better, and the better you feel. And I feel so much better than I used to. I don't even remember how bad I used to feel now. It's been so long. And people who feel good are happy, have more compassion for others, have better attitudes, and naturally want to lift others up. Because when you feel good, it opens up your heart, and you want others to feel that way. Serotonin that is made in your gut helps you make those feel-good chemicals. And your bacteria do this all day long, helping you to become healthier, happier. And I am seeing this in huge ways in my own life with different cultured foods we're making and eating. We've got a new 1L-Reuteri that makes oxytocin, and that is incredible, the amount of well-being it makes you feel. It's really fun to learn what your body can do, the things it needs, giving it the foods it needs, and watching it transform for you. So here's the deal. So the next time you walk into a room or you shake somebody's hand, remember that you're never quite alone, nor would you want to be without your bacteria friends. Your bacteria footprint goes with you everywhere and changes that environment too. But are you feeding the bacteria the things you need to be healthy? And here's where I started. I started simply with making kefir, and I did it with the powder packages because I was too tired to do anything else. And I just put a jar in the counter, quart jar, filled it up with milk, and you can do non-dairy. We've got like 16 non-dairy, or you can do regular dairy, which really transforms the dairy into a completely different food. Pour the powder package in, stir it a little bit, let it sit on your counter for 24 hours, and the next day you have kefir. And then you can use that jar, a quarter cup of that jar, to make another jar and another jar and another jar. It works so well, and that's just where I started, was just with kefir. You don't have to go, crazy and make every single one right away. Just start with one. That's what I did. I started with one, and then I felt better, and then I made more and more and more. And now it's just such a lifestyle. I can't even imagine not having all these foods. My daughter just went on a trip recently with some people and they had like a motor coach or something, and she took her little jars of kefir and yogurt with her to take, because she said, Mom, I get anxiety if I don't have these. These help me keep healthy. Like when you go on vacation and she isn't eating as good, she goes, I know if I take this with me and my kombucha that I'll feel better, and then I won't have, the struggles, if I eat bad. Because she does, it's interesting. She has seen, as a young woman, she's like 21, she sees the difference when she has these foods and when she doesn't. And that's life is the greatest teacher. It just is. And I don't care what anybody says about my cultures. They're not going anywhere. They're staying on my counter and fermenting and in my fridge, because they have made a life-altering change in my life and my family's and my business. I never in a million years dreamed I'd be doing this. I didn't even want to do this. I fought it for 10 years. I didn't want to do it. But people were getting well, and I felt the need to help them. And there's a lot of well-meaning people. This is very popular now. More and more people helping. Just make sure, if you have questions or if people tell you stuff and you're not sure, you can always go check my website, or I've got all the FAQs on there. Everything's free. I work really, really hard at it, guys, to help everybody be successful, because it changes your life when you feel good. Don't go through your life not feeling good, not being your best. You just don't know what you're missing, because who I was before cultured foods and who I am now is life altering. Not just for me, but for everybody that works for me, everybody, my family, my friends. It is just so much fun to feel good all the time. You guys don't want to feel bad. You're missing out, and your body's designed to feel good. But you need to have the help of those microbes, and you need to eat good. And here's the deal. This is really cool. When you change what you eat, you start craving those foods. That's the way it works. So whatever you eat, you're going to crave. So in the beginning, you're going to crave some of the stuff that's not good for you if you've been eating badly. But the longer you go eating good and giving your food prebiotics like fruits and vegetables, good proteins, lots of cultured foods, healthy probiotic drinks like kombucha, water kefir, those things, the more you'll crave them. And pretty soon you won't want those other foods, but your body will crave these other foods, and it just becomes effortless and easy, and you'll just love it. So anyway, I hope that helps. Just remember, you're a cloud of bacteria walking around. That's what you are. And you take it everywhere you go, and you spread it to everybody, which is super cool. So have a great week, you guys, and we'll see you next time.